it's Flex and you're watching Build Series Sydney. Today I'm joined with singer, songwriter, musician, mentor, and the man who pretty much needs no introduction. But please give it up for Guy Sebastian.
Hello. Hey.
Now, did I get that right? Were all your job titles?
Yes.
Yeah, singwriter. I meant it when I said it.
Yes.
That's a new one that Oxford is currently checking for.
I sing when I'm writing. So
Absolutely.
No, I think you've covered it all off. Yes.
Are there a few that you want to add in just in case?
A few titles.
Yeah.
I did medical radiation at Uni SA, but
Okay.
I didn't quite get through my prac year, which was the last year. So I could have been a radiotherapist as well.
I'm happy to update the wiki with that one.
Yeah, no, I didn't finish. I'm a dropout. So uni dropout. That's a title.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uni dropout, singer, songwriter.
Put that one first. Uni
Yeah.
dropout, uni dropper-out,
Yeah.
songwriter, songer,
Yeah.
musician, mentee.
Word maker upper. Yes.
We're doing well. Now, the other day I was watching your YouTube series, Dumplings and DMs with Jules, and I was thinking if there was ever a time for me to be eating and chatting to Guy Sebastian, today would be it. I don't have any food, but hypothetically...
That's half of the show concept, though.
I'm workshopping. Yeah. But if I was going to offer you something to eat right now, what would you like?
I love sushi. I think I would eat sushi every day, but I just had sushi right after I just had an interview before, and I smashed a whole lot of sashimi and tofu and all sorts of sushi-ish stuff.
Do you want to wash it down with anything in particular?
Tequila would be amazing.
The higher-ups are listening.
It's only, what is it? It's 1 o'clock or something, 1:30? That's definitely tequila time.
Tequila! No.
Yes.
Well, awesome. Well, let's talk about why we're actually here. Your amazing new single, Choir. It's a gorgeous, upbeat, melodic fantasy, but it's actually got some serious themes when you actually pay attention and listen. So would you mind telling us more about that?
Yeah. Look, it's a song I wrote sort of specifically, I guess, a mate of mine who passed away, and it's an up-tempo song. Like, it's very melodic, as you said, and it's very joyful in its sound. And I think for me, when I think about the person who I lost, who was an incredible person, incredible musician. He played in my band, and he was sort of a right-hand man, like a musician. So we toured not too long before he passed away. We toured the UK, and it was just me and him, and he plays every instrument. He played bass and he plays guitar, and he'll trigger stuff on keyboards and play drum pads and do something with his feet and play the kick drum. He was just a genius, and he was a really smart guy, really funny. And so I didn't really want to necessarily write a song that was like, some sort of Sarah McLachlan ballad or something that made everyone want to cry even more. I wanted to, I think for my own sake, I wanted to write something that was also a celebration of his life. And I think so often when we lose people we love, our default is these really sad songs that just drive us into more depression when we think about the person that we love and that we've lost. And whereas this one is sort of it's good because it ticks two boxes, in my opinion. It pays tribute to a life that was amazing, but it also, especially in the second verse, it talks about not taking each other for granted. And we're always in this busy life. We say, we'll catch up with someone, and then we just don't, or we'll say, we'll do it next week. And then, I don't know, months go past, years go past, and there's these people in our lives, and we've just, I don't know, just let the relationship die or fizzle out or whatever. And I think what I've learned as I've gotten older is it's so much more important to be impactful in a handful of lives as opposed to trying to please everyone. That was my problem. I just didn't want to hurt people, and I'd say, yeah, I'll catch up with you and I'll do this, and yeah, I'll lock that in, and yeah, I'll play golf with you and I'll catch up with you and let's go to the movies. And I say yes, and I spread myself out so thin that then I kind of pull out of everything and disappoint heaps of people. Whereas I've gotten a lot better at just going, well, this is my capacity. I've got priorities now. I've got kids. I've got, a wife. I've got, stuff to do. And I've got the people in my life that I know I can actually impact, and be there for them and help them move when they're moving house or, do the things that matter. And I think I've got better at that. So yeah, the song kind of covers off those two major things, just to look out for each other and to celebrate, somebody who we've lost.
Which is a nice reminder, because as simple as it is to know to do those things, you just get caught up in all of it. Like, it's so easy to center yourself and be like, well, I want to do those things, but I'm actually a bit tired. And then before you know it, it's kind of too late. But it's awesome that you've taken the lens away from it being a really sad ballad, because you do want to move, your shoulders and your neck, and you want to dance when the song comes on, and that's a great feeling to have.
I still cry like an idiot though when I sing this song. I got through it. I did the State of Origin recently, and I got through it then, and then I think the key to that was I started sort of off stage, like I started in this little tunnel, and it was just me and an upright piano, and then on The Voice I performed it, and that was okay. I got through that as well, but then there was a few times prior to that where I performed the song and I just couldn't get through it. I performed it at the Logies and I started to cry while I was singing the verse, and then the weirdest one, the first time I sung it was at some like races in Brizzy. So I'm in Brisbane and I'm singing at these like horse races where everyone's just they're on the piss and having a punt, right? So they don't. And my job literally is like the set just has to be up tempo, get everyone dancing, and I think, oh look, I've got to sing it. I've got to sing it at some stage. So let's do it. And I'm there. My band is on stage, who all knew Luke very well. I start singing and I just start crying, and there's just all these pissed idiots, like at the front, like that were literally, not all of them were idiots, but there's a few that were just there. They knew, the music's starting, let's go. They're swinging their shirt around, and I'm there like crying like an idiot.
And they're just here like locked eyes. Like,
it was like such a weird, awkward moment, but well, we got through it.
You got through it, and you've done it again joyously, and now you're sharing it with us.
Exactly.
And so we get to laugh again. There's a consistent theme happening here.
That's
There's
right.
silver linings.
Look, loss is a weird thing though, isn't it? Like you
is.
go through all sorts of emotions, and to be honest, like I think one of the biggest things, the reaction to this song, I've never ever had as many messages about any song I've ever released. Like in Battle Scars, that deals with some themes and some issues, and I had a lot of messages with that. I've released certain songs in the past that are kind of more like I released a song called Get Along, which is about racism and about like trying to have peace amongst cultures, and this song in particular, the amount of people that are affected by mental illness and not just themselves but people who they care about, it's been mind-blowing how many messages I've had, and so that's a really positive thing that I've taken away from this song, is just how many people just suffer, and it's a very strange thing to get your head around, especially when you lose somebody to mental health. It's very difficult to get your head around it, because you go through all these weird stages of grief. You're angry at times. They left you, they chose to leave, and then you always circle back to, you're sad and you're devastated and you miss them so much, and then you come back to this point that they just weren't well, and that they just were in a place where that was their best option, and that's so hard to get your head around if you've never been there yourself. So it's been quite overwhelming, the amount of people that are affected by it, and I think it's good that there's a lot of people talking about mental health, and because it's a huge issue.
And it's good to have different experiences, thrown into the conversation as well, so the discussion stays nuanced and it stays growing and evolving as well.
Yeah.
And similarly, it's nice to see you in a different environment for video clip as well. Like you've got the choir, the beachscape, the choreography, the dances.
Yeah.
That must have been a hectic day. What was that like?
Well, I learned the choreo, I think it was 2 days or something before, and I'm bad with my schedule. Like I think things are happening. Like, I've got weeks.
It's subjective.
And so I was in the rehearsal, and my management's here, and I was like, oh, it's cool. Like I've got some time to learn this. And she's like, no, the video's, it's in 2 days. Like, and I'm not a dancer. Like I dance when I sing, but it's always just like
you might throw a little
just
something,
grooving,
little,
and, like. But I never grew up doing like curry with dancers. So that
I love that this is your curry.
that's my curry. But it was quite nerve-wracking, but then it sort of stuck. Weirdly, it sort of stuck in my head, and I think I got some good takes on the day of the video. It was awesome. It was such a fun video. You know, Aussie videos, it's not like we've got $1 million to play with. Like, there's major artists that do videos for 10, 15 grand.
Oof.
And literally, like, that's your budget. And you've got this big crew, and no one's really making coin on a Australian music video. They're doing it because they're doing it for the art. Like, they love there's so many people in film and who are, you know, who directing and who are, you know, part of the art, you know, team, and they're all just doing it because they love it and they want to be part of putting visual to music and touching people through that. But I don't know, I look at my team and like James Chappell, who was the director, he put so much into that video. We shot down in like just on the way to Wollongong, there's the overpass that goes sort of out. You know, they film all those car commercials there.
Oh, the bridge.
The bridge thing,
yeah.
That's sort of just near Stanwell Tops. And we filmed underneath that. So no one ever actually filmed sort of underneath where the waves are breaking, and I have my little boy there as well. So it's there was a kid who came through the production company. He was like my son's friend, and they're as the sun's rise. So I had to get my kids up at 4 a.m.
Oh.
Drive them down south, and then get them out in the cold, and they're like on this sort of on these rocks, and they both light a sparkler each, and then one of the sparklers, his friend sparklers, sort of goes out first, and that's a part in the video that I'll always cry if I watch it. But sort of obviously the sparklers signifying life, and one going out before the other, and you know, as we moved from that landscape, the next day we shot in this beautiful church in Marrickville. It's like apparently the oldest goth church or something in from the goth era, and it's super creepy, but in a beautiful creepy sort of way. Like it's because there's a cemetery.
Everyone's like,
Yeah, there's a cemetery attached, and it was awesome. And weird to think that it's in Newtown, I think, like just off the King Street.
Oh, I know the one, near the park.
It's beautiful,
Yeah.
And you know, when you blow a whole lot of smoke into there and then put all this kind of creepy lighting, it becomes this really picturesque, like, sort of beautiful scene. So we did some stuff in there, did some choreography in there. The dancers were incredible. And then we moved out to, we were in the inner west as well, and we moved out to this kind of old, I think it's like a construction site. They're about to build on it, but it was sort of looked like a car park, and they built all this stuff and lit it, and then we did choreography in a car park. So it was awesome.
You make it sound like you had 16 weeks to get it done. You're like, and then
Yeah,
we
it
went
was a
in the
couple of
sparkle, and then we
days.
went down. So how long did it take you to nail this choreography? Was it like, oh, you've got 2 days, and then you were like, all right, 5, 6, 7, 8, done?
Yeah, well, I just learnt it on this one day, and then we went back the second day, and I think I did a little rehearsal, and then we went for the filming. To be honest, it's not difficult choreography. Like,
Is it like riding a bicycle? Like, could you show us?
Oh, maybe.
Could you like teach me a little something?
Oh, I'll try and remember it.
Should I get up as well? Because I'm feeling
All
like
right,
I don't want
let's
to
get
show
up.
you out.
All
but
right, let's get up. All right. There's one at the end where it's I just join everybody, and it's literally just going like this.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay, we're gonna double
So
up. We're gonna double it.
Yeah.
Don't tell me twice. Don't tell me twice.
There we go. And a little bounce. Yeah. So
Do you want
that's-
to? Don't be shy. We're up
That
here.
one's-
Don't be shy.
So that one's right at the end. But then there was like this one where it was a bit handsy. I don't know if I'll remember it, but it was the first chorus. I sing in a choir.
I'll give you this.
All right.
Yeah.
this one's harder
No,
to teach.
I'm gonna hear the mic's gonna hear.
Oh,
you.
okay,
I'll
you
be
hold
a
it.
mic person.
See,
I'll
now
be
you
a mic stand.
so it was like, now you're singing in a choir. Now you're dancing in a crew. I'm gonna.
Yes. Yeah. Down.
So, and when everyone's doing it, it looks really cool. But
It does. It looks. Well, thank you so much.
my pleasure. Pleasure.
We're fun at parties. We get up and get involved. You know what I'm saying?
I'm pretty much Bruno Mars now with my dancing.
Bruno Mars
so-
is shaking.
you know.
They're going to be comparison videos everywhere. Well, I'm glad it worked out well.
Yeah.
2 days. Anyway, so I want to chat about your upcoming tour.
Yeah.
September and October.
September, October. Yeah.
Woo. Are you excited?
I'm pumped about this one. I don't know what it is. I think just maturing in my art or something. I get much more. People would think you get less nervous, but I get more nervous about something like a tour because I just want it to be. I want it to be better than what the last one was, and then I put a lot into the last one. But this one I'm super excited about because I've got some new kind of team members to help on the visual side of stuff as well. So working on the voice was dope because I met some really crazy talented like art directors and stuff like that, and so we've got a couple of people who are helping with the visuals, and it's just really exciting because I just love when it feels like a show that has had a lot of thought put into it. You know, like I think there's all sorts of styles of shows, and some people will tour and you can just tell that they're just brilliant musicians and they've just got up on stage and done their thing. And but I want this show to be a show that has some pre-thought that's gone into. So I'm sort of filming myself a bit at the moment as well, and like getting some stuff with our family and sort of like home video style stuff, just to really give people an insight as to what my life is like and how the music comes about, through my life. And then we're just doing some really cool visuals as well to go with the songs. And it's weird. I think about some of the songs I've written, and I'm going through my set list, and I've actually got to lighten it up a bit because I've got some happy songs. I've written some really pop songs like It Like That and Like a Drum and I guess even Choir to a certain extent. But Choir, as we know, the theme is it's got some guts to it. And then there's some other songs that I've written that are kind of a bit deep, and so it's actually trying to lighten the show a little bit as well, and not it just be all really kind of inspiring ballads. Even though I love that, I want to actually have a lot of fun elements to the show as well. But yeah, I'm pumped. It'll be a nice meet. I think it's pretty much sold out, which is always nice. I think there's a few shows. There's two shows with some tickets left, but there's only a few left, I think, in the second Sydney show. And then Hobart, I think there's a few shows left. Is that correct? And then I think everything else is sold out. But I'll be touring again, and I'll be back on the road sort of early next year. But
It's so nice to understand like the artist's process behind touring, because I know for a lot of us, you kind of just rock up at a show. You're like, I wonder like when they find time to practice, and like, was this well thought of, and did they mean to do that? Is this part of the script? Well,
I mean, I went to see Bruno. There is no way he didn't put like months of work into that choreography and I guess it's when you're talking about artists who have I'm in that weird am I gonna sneeze phase right now.
Ooh, should we help you out?
Yes. Yeah. No, I think it's gone. There's so much that can go into a show, and like I said, then there's performers that just literally they're just so great that they'll just jump up and they do their thing and they don't have to think much. But there's a lot of things that I've done in my life where I guess people would think I should be nervous. Like I've done some gigs that are in front of a lot of people or in front of, like the world, crowds, sort of like Eurovision and some other things that I've done. And I don't really get nervous over stuff like that. I only ever get nervous in the first couple of shows of a tour. And I don't know why. I just get so anxious and I think because in my mind it goes a certain way, but I don't know until I've done it for the audience. Because you just don't, I don't know. When people come to my shows, I want them to be, and we say a little we gather together, we say a little prayer as a band and as a crew. We just say, this is our job, is to have people who have come into this room be transported away from life for a second, just for a couple of hours. We've got them for a few hours. Let's just take them away from life, and whatever they brought into the room, let them leave it there and go out lighter and full of joy and just full of life. And that's our job. And so I think as I'm doing the show, I'm just in my head going, is this a dead spot? Is this a dead spot? Are people tuning out? Is this like are they still enjoying this? And I'm all anxious and nervous and insecure or something. But then third or fourth show, I am in like autopilot mode, no stress at all. I'll sometimes rock up half an hour before the show after playing golf and I just, because that's like my relaxed time.
Oh, okay,
so
right.
I don't want to
That's
talk.
the process.
And I'm like, and I'll just lob up, and it's autopilot. I know the sound is going to be the same as the last few shows. It's such a good feeling, and it's like a holiday at that point. But before then, I'm a ball of nerves.
So when you're in the first couple of shows, how do you actually deal with the nerves? Is it a breathing technique? Dean Lewis does a power pose.
Does he? Yeah. I think I need alone time, because sometimes with the first few shows, everyone's at you. So you've got like, you know, the art director who's at you about certain things, and then the sound guy, and then the, you know, lighting wants certain cues, and then your manager needs this, and then the merch person is one, like, so everyone's sort of asking questions, and I get really overwhelmed. So I think I know it's a weird ritual, but I will not need to go to the toilet, but just go to the toilet. And I just will...
Don't tell anyone.
But I'll just be in the toilet, because I know no one can get to me. And so, yeah, and that happened when I was on Idol. So on Idol, the cameras would follow you everywhere. Like, they just followed you, but they weren't allowed, obviously, to follow us into the toilet. And I would get really anxious about just being, you know, filmed and stuff all the time. And I wasn't terribly confident in front of the camera. So I would just sit in the toilet for an hour sometimes, because I just knew no one could bother me. And so I think it's carried on, and I still do it, like, you know,
it's the
16
process.
years later or something. Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned Idol, because I always wondered, does being a contestant on a show of that format make you a better coach for The Voice?
Not necessarily.
Oh,
I think what it does is it makes you understand the importance of what they're doing. So I look at my life, and I love that I was on Idol. I've never, ever... no one would ever find one negative comment from me about my experience. You know, like, I don't think it... There's so many artists that find their way, and whether it be in a battle of the bands, or gigging in a club or a pub or something, or being lucky and being spotted in a shopping centre, or being on Idol. For me, it was just my platform. It was the springboard that gave me, you know, this huge audience that I would never have got on my own, and I'm so grateful for it. But I think when I stood on that stage, and initially I sung Ribbon in the Sky, that was my first audition song, I didn't realise the power that moment had, you know, and since then, the things that I've been able to do and achieve, and the way it's impacted my own life and others, and, you know, I can't believe that some of the sentences that I say when I talk about who I've met or worked with or sung with or shows I've performed on or whatever, like it's mind-blowing to me. And that happened because of that moment that I opened my mouth and auditioned while Dicko and Marsha and Mark were watching. You know, that moment changed my life. And so that's where it affects me as a coach. Like, when I'm in that chair on The Voice, I'm hearing somebody do that, and in the back of my mind I'm going, is this a life-changing moment for that person? Is this going to change that person's life? And, you know, sometimes you hear it and you go, well, it could be. This could be somebody whose life is impacted. And then other times I know it's probably not. You know, I don't know if that performance is going to change anything. But, you know. Yeah.
It's above me now.
Yeah.
Oh, but I mean, what is the experience like of actually being a coach, though? Because I'm sure when we're watching from the screens, we're kind of like, this is what we might have do, this is what we might have said. You know, what is it like having the pressure on?
It's hard because there's heaps of stuff that goes into your decision, more than just like who's a great singer and who. Like, there's so much that goes into what you're trying to do, because there's also a show to think about. You know, we're trying to think of the balance of the show, and if we take 8 young 18-year-old guys, it's like it'll just get lost in the mix. You know, you sort of want to balance the show and have people who represent different parts of the industry, and so we'll sometimes have to let some people go who are great. And that's the thing, like, as a viewer, you go, that person's awesome. Like, there's people I had that are great. But for me, it's like, there's somebody that will benefit from the show more than someone else. There might be someone that's been in the industry for ages and they gig and they do their thing, but they've kind of carved out their path for themselves. And even though they're great at that one thing, the show won't necessarily be able to help them as much through the mentoring process as, say, some kid who sings in his bedroom, who isn't as refined but has something special about him. And there's sometimes more of a challenge and more of a it's just more fun to see if you can extract something from someone that's really unrefined, as opposed to trying to teach an old dog new tricks. And it's hard. I mean, you know, we don't always get it right, but I guess even the show sometimes, you know, the winners, the public doesn't get it right. Like sometimes they'll vote for somebody who's the most incredible singer, but may not quite be there as an artist yet. There's a lot of amazing singers, but being an artist is so much different. There is so much more involved in wanting to be an artist than there is just a great singer. And that's why we've got artists that people go, what? I've heard them live. They're not very good singers, or they're whatever. But there's so much more.
And it's good to know that, though, because it puts a lot of context behind why decisions get made. Because you do forget, this is a TV show.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, to be honest, if there was a singing contest and you had Bob Dylan on, or a singing contest and you had John Lennon, you know, like we were talking probably the two most influential songwriters of our time. And they probably wouldn't get past the first round audition, you know, because someone who's going, whoa, whoa, yeah, is getting through, you know, like...
That's me, I'm that someone.
but there's a lot that goes into being an artist, and to me it's about songs. The most important thing is about being a songwriter and having a vision for what you want to achieve through your songs as an artist, and just sticking by it. I mean, I've been in rooms, I've been told I'm not good enough, or I don't have the right look, or I should swear more in my songs, or I should have more scantily clad women in my film clips, or I should... And legit, I've been told this by extremely powerful people in the industry, and I've sat in rooms in New York, and but I've always known what my role is as an artist. I've always known what I want to achieve through my music, and I've stuck to it. I've just gone, I'm unashamedly, I love the challenge of a pop song. And anyone who thinks they can write a pop song that sticks in people's head that still means something, go for it. Like, it's really hard, you know, and it's really difficult. To me, I grew up in gospel music. I know chords. Like, I can play chords. I grew up loving jazz and fusion. Like, I love that style of music. But to me, doing it like the Beatles, where you 3 chords and you come up with something that is... an insane melody that means something, it's so hard. Yeah.
Hypothetically, if you were auditioning for The Voice right now, what song would you sing?
A cover, probably I'm jealous of the night. You know that Labyrinth song, Jealous? That's still my favourite song, has been for about 2 years. I can't get over the lyrics. It's just, they're Nashville writers as well. He wrote it with some Nashville writers, and they're just... It's just insane that the song, the bridge goes to this really crazy place, and then it comes back and it just sucker punches you. And then you realise he wrote it for his dad, who wasn't there for him, and you'll bawl your eyes out. I always thought it was about a girl that he was writing about, like an ex-girlfriend or something. And then, yeah, that's insane, that song. I wish I wrote it.
You have my vote. I'll be your coach.
or my original, I would still sing Ribbon in the Sky.
Yeah?
Yeah, that. I mean, it's Stevie Wonder. It's just such a great song. Yeah. What would you sing?
I would sing... I'd sing Choir.
There you go.
And I would nail it, you know what I mean? Like, I'd probably do like a stripped back rendition of it.
Yeah.
I'd maybe take it down an octave.
And
I
rap
said that
the verses.
With so much confidence. I'd take it down an octave. You know, I'd add in some choreography, like a hut 1 2.
Oh, yeah.
It'd change the game. It'd go viral.
I'd hit my button. I'd hit my red button.
I love that. Well, we have some audience questions for you. Cool. They're all amazing. Sweet. I hope we can get through them all. The first is from Hannah. And they ask, what are your favourite Aussie acts and who is doing some really great stuff right now?
Oh, wow. There's so many great Aussie musicians and singers and artists. Oh my gosh.
It is a lot of pressure.
Well, there's a guy called Sam Fisher who's awesome. He's just toured a little bit. I think he toured with Lewis Capaldi in the States. He's been living in LA and he has this insanely good song that I was shown by a friend of mine years ago called This City. It's an Aussie guy, really amazingly soulful person. He's incredible artist, great singer and musician and writer. And
well, we can always come back to it. No pressure.
Yeah.
There's a ton of amazing questions here, and we'll get through all of them. The next one is from Carly, and they say, if you were to stop singing and be a musician, to stop singing and to stop being a musician, what would be your next career? Ooh.
Oh dear, I studied medical radiation. I don't think so nothing in music, basically. What would be my next? Oh,
like not even music
gosh.
adjacent. Not like a ticketer, not like a PR person.
Yeah.
You're not like, in the back doing,
Okay.
you're not busking.
Yep. Probably sport. I was very obsessed with sport. So I played a lot of cricket. I played a lot of AFL, but I wasn't good enough. I think like maybe if I was really serious, I could have like tried to play cricket more, and like I played grade cricket when I was younger, and I was right into it, and so maybe a sportsman. I don't know, like I can't really see myself doing anything but music, because I was headed for another career as a backup. My parents were always like, make sure you study, you need a backup, and I did, and I don't regret it. But I made this decision at one stage. I was like, I live once. I've got to go for this. Like, I've got to go gung-ho and record all these demos in my bedroom and started the process, and luckily found myself on Idol. But I think maybe a sportsman. That's my other passion.
I see the vision quite clearly. Ooh.
This is just coming right now. This is genius. A fishing show where I catch the fish, obviously, and it's like a catch and cook thing. So I catch the fish and cook it. Mm-hmm. Oh, but there can't be a music element. Can I like interview musicians?
Sure.
So, like, I take Barnsey fishing, for example. Yeah. We go and jig kingfish, catch kingfish. Then I'll cook him some kingfish ceviche, sashimi, and then some baked, kingfish steaks, and do a beautiful. I love cooking as well. And then I get Barnsey to do, a little acoustic rendition on the back of the boat or something. And we could call it Sing, Catch, Cook.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
And you made it sound like it wasn't a well thought out idea, but I know for a fact you've been mulling over it for years.
I think
like,
so. It's a good
how
concept.
How about a boat and we might
There's
fish?
Producers here. Can we make this happen? Imagine Tina Arena on a massive, hooked up to a big marlin.
The higher-ups have just radioed in and said, it's happening. It's been greenlit, so...
Yeah.
Welcome to Sing, Catch, Cook.
Post Malone,
what's he want?
He's catching bass in somewhere and flicking lures, and then, sunflower. It's a slam dunk.
And that's how that song was made.
Yes,
well, incredible.
Exactly.
A cricketer, fisher cook, music adjacent.
Sing, catch, cook, yeah.
Yeah, got it.
Or sing for your supper.
Ooh, a competition element. You're not eating today.
I think what's come out of this conversation is that I would just be an ideas man. Yeah. That would be my...
We need more.
Just ideas man. Yeah.
All right, next question says, given your journey professionally and personally and what you know now, what advice would you give your younger self?
My younger self? I don't think I would do anything differently. Because I think we learn stuff as we go. I think, because imagine if you told yourself, because the first thing that popped into my mind was along the lines of don't trust everyone. Mm. But imagine you tell yourself in a vulnerable position to not assume the best in people.
Yeah.
I think that's dangerous. I think it's a great starting point to actually trust people and to assume that people want you to win and they want the best for you. And you know, I think if you go through stuff in your life, it actually shapes who you are. And you go through those moments of, I hate everyone and everyone just is out to get me. And no one actually cares about me for who I am and blah, blah, blah. And you go through all of that. And then you come to a more balanced point of, well, no, there's just a few dicks in the world. And you got to cipher through the dicks.
Visuals.
Yeah. And then you get to, you know, a more balanced place. It was very visual. Did you have post animation on these robotic cameras?
Yeah, they've got the visual. Yeah. They know what's happening.
All right, done.
What kind of advice do you give your kids?
I just try and kindness mainly.
Yeah.
Yeah, just mainly just kindness and to look out for others. And it's a weird one though with your kids. You just sort of you really, when you have children, you really understand nature versus nurture. Like you get two kids in the same environment, so different. And I look at both my kids. One is just this go-getter. He can't do anything on his own. Has to be showing you what he's doing always. Needs an audience. He's really very clever, very switched on, and very. He's not necessarily taking notice of what other people are doing. He's got his thing. And then there's my other kid who is literally the most sort of affectionate, loving child who will play in a room on his own for hours and like make up a world and has this imagination and hates hurting people. And to tell him off, if I just go, one look, he's like... hates being in trouble. Hates it. The other one loves being in trouble. He's like, that's his life. He's like
more audience members.
He just loves it. And so I think it's I don't know, just about leading by example. Like I think so often we try and tell our kids stuff and then we do the opposite. Like we'll say, be good to people, be respectful. And then we like abuse someone in traffic or something in front of them. And I think what my hope is, like I look at my parents, they're really kind. You know, like my mum, she used to let anyone in. Like she used to, they're growing up, and even at a young age, I left Malaysia when I was like 6 years old. But I remember mum there was this blind woman she used to bring in and feed every day and stuff. Like she just always looked out for people. And my dad's the same, really kind. And I look at myself and my brothers, like we love people. And I think it's because of my parents, you know, because they love people. So I'm hoping that when Jules always says that I'm patient and that I'm very patient with people, and that it makes me very happy, because if my kids can see that if I'm stopped for a photo, if I'm stopped for people wanting to chat or whatever, if they can see that I'm kind to them, I'm hoping that will be enough. And I don't have to say to them, don't be an ass, you know, like be nice. I don't know. Parenting's weird. It's hard. I just don't think there's any answers. Like, I hate it when people tell others how to parent, because it's just so individual for everyone. So hopefully leading by example is a good place to start.
I think that's a good one, because it puts the onus on everyone to be better, you know? And then... yeah, working on it.
Yeah, and I'm definitely working on the abuse people in traffic thing. That's
it's like on the first list, like start abuse. Okay.
I'm a different person when I drive.
I refuse to believe it.
I just can't believe how people turn into idiots when they drive. It's you meet them in normal life, they're great. They're lovely. You stick them behind a wheel, they're just
mayhem.
Yeah, terrible versions of themselves.
It's all right. Yeah. We'll repress that memory. I've got a really good question for you. One that I haven't asked. Or maybe I have. No, I haven't. This one is from Tom, and they asked, do you ever have a giggle at the comments on Nosies' photos?
I don't know if I've gone onto his actual photos, but I've been, you know, when I first came to know about the formula, I was on the project and Waleed was reading the form. So there's a formula about the comments on Shannon's pictures, and he's borrowed something of their missus, and they really need him back, and it's hilarious. I think it's, I love the internet. I just love how random stuff just gains momentum, and like, how long are people going to be kicking lids off bottles for? Like, it's just like, who started that? It's so random. And then but the internet, it just goes extreme. Like, then there's Kendall Jenner and a G-banger doing it, like reverse, like fly kick off a jet ski to get the bottle off. And it's kind of Black Mirror. We're living Black Mirror. It's hilarious. But I think the Nolsey stuff is awesome. And go Nolsey. He's a legend. Such a good guy, Shannon. Amazing.
What do you reckon Nolsey thinks?
I think he loves it. He's just an icon. You know, he's such an icon. And so Shannon and I remember being at the Opera House. We on that night, we were both told we were getting a recording contract. And so regardless of who won, and I don't think they should have told us that, because there probably would have been more jeopardy in the decision. We couldn't care less who won that night. Like, we were both, we started, you know, having a couple of drinks before the end of the show, because we both were told that's all we wanted. We didn't really care who won. It wasn't like, there wasn't like a cash prize or something. We just wanted to make music. And, you know, Nosey, he's come from the country, and, you know, he's dealt with his own things in his life that has been hard for him to get through, and his dad and all sorts of stuff. And he's just a proper country lad, and he just loves making music. And yeah, I loved that it was me and Shannon at the end. It was such a, you know, here's this sort of multicultural cluster of, like, I'm everything. I've got every nationality known to man. My mum's from India, but she's got English, Irish, or English, Scottish, and Portuguese. But like, is fully Indian, white with blue eyes. So she'd come and pick me up sometimes in like a Punjabi outfit or something, and she's got the putu, and like my mate's like, dude, is your mum playing dress ups? Like,
no.
But she was like, she's fully Indian, my mum. And then my dad, he's got dark skin. He's from Malaysia, but he's Sri Lankan, and he's got some Portuguese. I think Sebastian is a Portuguese name, apparently. And so we've got this mix of all these nationalities, insanely good food. But yeah, and then you had this quintessential Aussie bloke from Condo, you know, a farmer. Yeah, you know, he talk like this, and he's super Aussie. And that was your two finalists. So there's obviously going to be people that are real staunch Shannon fans, and then a whole bunch of sort of more like your urban and multicultural audience that are like, yeah, good on Guy. You know, good on him.
Guy.
Yeah.
Well, in the great words of Guy Sebastian, good on Guy.
Good on Guy.
Thank
he
you
goes
so,
all right.
so much for taking the time out to chat. I really appreciate it. Give it up for Guy Sebastian.
Pleasure. Thank you.
And please make sure you stream
Thank you.
Choir.
And thank you to the robots that filmed this. Don't take over our world.
Well, I guess while we're here, can we get a bit of a sing song? I mean, the higher ups are gone. I just want to hear you sing.
Sure. What would you like?
Oh.
Jealous.
Oh. Okay, well, whatever you want to sing, I just want to hear something.
Sure. I'll sing a little bit of Before I Go, which is my the single before Choir.
I'm excited.
Just one more thing before I go. Done. All right. Just one more thing before I go. Before I let you take the throne. You go right and I'll stay left. And if you ever get too close, you'll know my name before I go. You thought you had me. You thought that I was done, but I'm stronger up against the ropes. I am a fighter. Before this fight is over, you know my name before I go. before I go. Thank you.
It took everything within me not to double up, you know what I mean? I was like, let me come in on the low.
Acapella. No worries.
That was
Pleasure.
sick. Oh, I love that.
That was like Idol. That was like Idol days.